happening or what?
Back to the couch.
Ow!
Back to the couch.
Back to the couch.
Okay, so really quick before we jump into the
Yes.
announcements. Last week, we did do the announcements. We did do the couch show. It was more like the Lanai show. But we had a little technological hiccup and had to stream it or broadcast it on Facebook because we did not have all the equipment. So, we're back at you.
We basically were denied access from YouTube in a undisclosed location.
Correct. So, we're back to regular programming on the tubes. Go for it.
Welcome to the Worm, 1620 AM.
Marcellus, Michigan.
So here's your announcements for this week, and they're sponsored by Electric Moon. 101 East Main Street, open Wednesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Check them out. Hey, when you go by there, tell them Joe sent you. Anyway.
If you're feeling real feisty, you can say Erica.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll just see what happens. So, hey, I got a couple announcements. Nothing major. Just a couple.
Okay. I'm here for it.
We're going to start with the library.
Okay.
Okay? And I think this is really cool. So I'm kind of finding out a little bit late to the party, I think, because it's already happened a few times. But we want to bring awareness, and so this is really cool. So it's Read to Kelly and Stella. And this is at our local library. And it is June 25th is the next date that it's happening.
Yep.
It's happening 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And you don't have to be there the whole time. You can drop by for a few minutes and just say hey.
Yep.
And read for a moment. But basically this is therapy with animals, in this case a dog. And she is fully licensed and everything. And so this is one of those things where this is awesome in our town, and this is just great. And
so they have you come and read to her because they need exposure to all different types of people for therapy dogs. So for her to stay up on her training and be the best therapy dog she can be, she has to have exposure of, and this is a great way to do it. All different kinds of ages, skin colors.
And it helps people.
Yeah, and it's not just her getting skills. It's also like, come on, go and read to a dog for a little bit. That feels great.
Yeah.
Feels great.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm actually going to try to make it by there.
So the 25th is Wednesday.
Yes.
This coming Wednesday between the hours of 10:30 and 11:30.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know what they're saying, but somebody's saying something. So anyway, so what we've got here.
Somebody said hi, and what are we talking about here?
Okay. So we're talking about at our local library on June 25th, which is Wednesday. 10:30 a.m. to 11:30. You can drop by anytime during that hour and say hi. And if you don't want to read, just stop by and say hi. That's fine too.
Yep.
But you can stop and say hi and read and with our dear friend Kelly and Stella.
Yep.
And
Stella's a licensed, trained therapy dog, service dog.
Therapy dog, service dog. Yeah, I think it's same umbrella.
Okay.
So, but I like it. I like what you're saying there. So that's going on there. So that's what we were talking about. You didn't miss anything really. Who's just joined the show? But the next thing, it's actually happening tomorrow. But I just thought the Stella thing. I just thought, this is a feel good thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. And so the village council meeting tomorrow, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. The Worm will be broadcasting, but. You can't have your question answered by the Worm. You've got to go in person and say, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I want to be a part of." And so, love to see some faces down there, the new ones and some familiar ones. I'm sure will be there. But that's tomorrow at 7 p.m. at our village hall here in town. Also Wednesday, also the pantry. Just want to remind you guys what's going on there on Wednesday. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. is the morning hours. Stop by and get what you need, kind of, and see Stella and the gang there. They'll hook you up and see what they can make happen, and it's just doing great things there. So, and the evening hours, because that's newer. That's the reason I'm kind of wanting to keep pushing this. 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And that's on Wednesday, every Wednesday also. That's just another one for if you get off work, you're working earlier and you get off work and you can't make the 9 to 11 a.m. Maybe this other hour will work out. And so you can again stop by, and they've got an amazing, I need to go do a
Video from there.
video from there. And so I think I'm going to try, there's so much on our plates, but I got to try to make that happen to where it can just be a quick little walkthrough of what it is, because it's pretty awesome what they've done. So,
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what's happening there. Other than that, I guess Open Jam returns on Mondays, 7 p.m. For those that came and participated while I was out of town. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's great continuing the energy and everything. So I look forward to seeing everybody again.
Yep.
And I guess that's going to wrap up.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to mention the fundraiser for the pantry that's happening in September.
Okay,
Just
well then
food.
before that.
Yeah.
So also, not this Friday, but the following Friday is First Friday. It's also going to fall on 4th of July, which will be interesting because we haven't had a 4th of July First Friday since we've been here at least. We don't do fireworks shows in our little town, but it's a great way to come out and show your 4th of July spirits. So generally at First Friday there's a beer garden. There's a live band. Do you know who's playing July?
It's actually it's DJ.
Okay. It's a little dancey mix.
I think it's DJ Ether, but I could be wrong on that.
He was here last year.
Yes, returning.
Yep.
He was. So
he had a fun little mix
reached
going.
out and asked him to kind of come back and do that. So.
So beer garden, Carol's usually has specials. We've got usually food vendors. It's just a great little community event. So Friday the 4th, that'll be our first Friday of July. That'll be happening, and generally First Friday starts at 5.
5 to 7 is what a lot of the people operate. It technically goes 5 to 8.
Yep.
And a lot of the vendors stay and the music is performed till 8. So that's kind of.
But for those of you that like to have a drink in town and we don't have a bar, this is a great way to go out on a Friday night, have some drinks.
Yep.
Visit with your fellow community members, listen to some music, and support your local artisans. So.
Yes.
Okay, now you can go into the
last thing I mentioned, this is just a weekly reminder because we're going to talk about this up till it happens. Food for the Soul, a fundraiser for our Marcellus Food Pantry.
Yep.
This happens September 13th. More details to come out real soon. Look forward to it.
Gonna have some silent auction, gonna have some live music.
Yes.
Gonna have a liquor license, so that we
Full on.
for everybody.
I want to do another one like kind of with the pan of like, this is what this is.
Yep.
So it can be replayed on a loop.
Yeah.
For just up until the event. So that's
that. Yep.
So
it's something that it benefits everyone in our community. When everyone in our community feels well fed and secure when it comes to food.
Yes.
The whole entire community benefits from that, believe it or not. Yeah. And then we've got this very small group of people who are making this food pantry happen, and extending hours for those of you that work but need those services, and taking care of our seniors in our town.
Yeah. And they're a cooling
cooling center
during this warm spell we've had.
For those of you that don't have AC. So it's just, again, we're talking a handful of people in our tiny community are making this happen. And so we owe it to them as human beings to do what we can to make sure that stays running. Yeah. And so in a tiny town like this, where we don't have all these large services, we all have to pool together, and what a great way to do it. A fun night out, something different, and all of the money will be going to the food pantry here in Marcellus. So
yes.
Excited for that. Food for the soul.
Love it.
It just feels so good.
It feels good. And the artwork for it, because I would like to do up a poster maybe so some people that are participating and want to bid on some of the silent auction can have a souvenir of some sort too, because I'd like to have that. So you did a great job on that. We'll preview that real soon here, the actual work on it. So I think that wraps up the announcements.
Yeah.
And so again, thanks for tuning into those announcements. I hope that helps. If you have any questions or whatever, drop a line, drop a blue heart, drop a subscribe. Get that algorithm flowing. That's what we're talking about, right? All right, so
that's what he's talking about. I never talk about this. It's all him that always talks about it.
Yeah, because I'm consistent. That's what they say is consistency. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it because I want to do it. Yes. That's like I do every effing thing. So anyway, So anyway, so
We
I
literally rolled into town today.
just a bit ago.
Yeah,
Like not even
hours
like
ago.
it was like, do we do the show later at the normal time, or do we just hit this thing because we haven't even eaten yet? Like
Yeah.
that's where this is all at and
Yeah.
everything. It's like it's great. Well, it was a hell of a trip and
Yeah.
it was awesome and you know it was.
I loved every second of it. We got to see our youngest old kid, our youngest big kid, as we say, graduate, not
Yeah.
only high school, but technical college at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, a very proud parent moment of just, all right, our babies are doing things in the world. Got to spend some time with family,
Yeah.
spend some time in the sun, played in the pool. It just, all of it, it was wonderful. I just loved every second of it. So, but I'm tired. I'm home and now I'm ready to just like, okay, let's have a day of decompression. And so I've got to mow the lawn, but that'll come.
Our facilities here at the
Looking a little run down.
Looks a little
forgive
bit-
us, neighbors, forgive us.
it looks like the campground maybe didn't open in time.
Exactly.
And so they're getting in town a little bit late to
Yeah.
get it prepped. But hey, that's what happens sometimes when things happen. So I have something to share with you.
With me?
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
So hey, during our travels, you always meet people. You always hear, sometimes it's a smile, sometimes it's a story. We never know. But Erica and our daughter had a conversation and met the lady previous to my encounter with the lady at this particular establishment we were at. And so I'd already heard kind of this funny story from you guys about her and everything. And so,
First thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. I
yeah.
said, woo! I love traveling the country because you meet some characters.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so, so she says to me, "Hey, honey, do you know what kind of coffee Jesus drinks?" And I was like, "What?" Was not expecting the question. First of all, it hit me out of left field, and so the next reaction was, "I'm not for sure on this one, to be honest with you." And she hit back and said, "Hebrew! That is great, dude! That dude! Like, I mean,
Hebrew!
that's so great! That's so great! It's a hell of a joke." So
It is a
anyway.
great joke. It is a great joke.
So we thank for that young lady that was out in the universe doing her magic, and I'm sure she's met a few more souls that she's kind of shared different perspective or whatever. Do you want to share kind of your interaction?
Well, not so much. I'll keep the one part to myself, but the other part was kind of funny. So it's, our daughter, myself, a young family way in the corner eating breakfast, and then a gal who, if I had to guess, she was from like New York, probably. So we're getting our breakfast, and the gal's in there working, and she says, answers the phone, and come to find out where we were staying, the night before they had like a basketball tournament and a dog show, and they were a packed house apparently.
Dog show.
Yeah, the night before.
Yeah.
And so she answers the phone, and it's this lady who organizes this dog show, and it's actually agility trials is what it is, which is cool in itself.
The dog show.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the gal who is on the phone, she's talking to this lady who
It's not
told
a
you the
beauty
funny joke,
contest.
and she says, yada yada, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't hear the conversation. They're just on the phone. So she hangs up and she's talking to somebody who works there, and she says, "So and so is gonna send me her recipe for crack." That's it. In the middle of breakfast, and the lady from, I'm guessing, New York, because that's just kind of what she looked like, turns her head and does one of these, like, what? And I'm kind of like giggling, and she's like, "Oh, it was so good."
Yeah.
She shared it with me.
Yeah.
And so then she starts talking about the recipe and says it's, buttered saltines and brown sugar. And I go, oh.
Different
Okay, I got
Different
it.
crack.
And so she's talking, and this lady is looking at her still like, what the heck? What kind of recipe is called crack? crack.
Yeah.
So then I start to laugh out loud and I said, oh, I know what you're talking about. We have a friend who makes this recipe for us, but it only usually at Christmas time. And they call it Christmas crack. And she said, yeah, that's what it is. It's Christmas crack.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not necessarily the best name in the world, but it's dang good.
Yeah.
And she said, well, it's kind of addicting. And she goes, maybe I shouldn't have used that word either since it's called crack. And I was like, touche.
Yeah.
So then the lady from New York starts laughing. She was like, I was really wondering for a minute there. Because we're not judgmental people, but you guys, we were in Kentucky when this conversation happened. So, the lady from, air quotes, New York, hearing a recipe for crack, that probably was her stereotypical mind going, oh my gosh, where am I at? So I'm excited for this lady because she had some Christmas crack from the lady from the dog show.
And probably made
she's
it
going to get the
last
recipe. Well, that has to be mailed to her because the email won't work.
Most crack does.
Yeah, so it's got to get mailed to her, and she gets to have her Christmas crack, and I'm just super happy for her. But that was my interaction with her earlier in the day, and I thought, this is the funniest thing ever, talking about crack at breakfast.
Yeah.
And then you tell me the joke later.
Yeah.
I was like, this is perfect. This is what I love about traveling is
she just had a fire
she
about her.
Yes.
Not just in one thing, just in general.
She was happy and smiley and just who she was.
Yep.
And that's what I love is when people are just genuinely who they are in the world. No, I don't even want to say no apologies, but just authentically them.
Yeah.
And you either like it or you don't, and they don't worry about it. They just are. And she had that. But also just this upbeat, you can tell she's a glass half full kind of gal. Probably a hoot to go out drinking with, I just really was like, what a great personality.
Yeah.
So, and the Hebrew joke was pretty funny.
Hebrew.
And as we were leaving, she said, hey, don't forget about Hebrews.
And I said, don't worry, we're going to talk about it tonight. Because that is just a classic. And I'm just grateful we heard that. So,
yeah.
I will say there was a part of the trip today. We've done a lot of miles. Part of the trip today, there was a part where this truck just lost all of his tire.
Mm-hmm. He was a young driver too. Did you see him get out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was probably mid-20s.
He was loaded with logs.
Yep.
And the back tire just pow! And so, like, for the far right lane was just covered in it for probably 1 mile and 3/10.
Yeah, I was going to say a mile, so pretty good gauge.
Yep, and so it was, and then a blank little spot with a couple little, then a ton more. So you just like, but I'm not for sure if it was a situation where, I'm convinced, and just my journeys and stuff, I'm convinced that there are more blown tires that are just defects from the factory than there are actual
like where you just
truck and trailer, where they're not up to they just worn down. Yeah. I can't see that because of all the. I know a lot of truckers avoid way stations the best they can, but like the reality is, if you travel now in technology time, they know where you are, they know what's going on, and so. But we see a lot of tires, a lot of semi tires, particularly like.
Well, I think that's why most of them have switched to the dualies on every trailer.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, because that's the backup, right? That if one blows, you at least have the other one. I think that's why they switched because I don't, do you remember growing up and it was like literally 4 tires on a trailer of a semi. That was it. Well, scary.
Well, now they've got the like fat Corvette tires, big ones, so where it's 1 tire now.
Yep.
Even on, and I saw probably 7 of those in the past couple days. So even those and it's where I think the part for that is how they brake they break in one spot and they hold together pretty
Yeah.
good. So I think it just comes right off. So I
I've
think-
always said this. I'm like, why have we not advanced our technology with tires? Like, why do we not have like solid tires? Like,
Well, we have in certain lights of what we put in the tire. So certain people use, instead of air, alternative gases.
yeah.
Because it supposedly gets you better gas mileage and holds and all this
I'm
stuff.
just like, why not just have a solid through tire like that?
Well-
it seems like we would have done better in
Well,
that
here's,
way.
well, I'll tell you why.
It's not economical.
No, it's not. It's totally economical. Why would it not be?
I don't know.
It's because of law enforcement. They don't want a vehicle that someone's running from them. That they can't put the strip
strips out
out, or
and
they
get it
can't
blown.
shoot the tire out or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Like
Okay,
you
there's some
ultimately-
merit to that, though.
You
Like-
ultimately,
I like you said that as in like, which I get like, it's law enforcement, but also there's some merit to that. Of
Yeah.
like, there's some really shitty people out there in the world where you don't want them running forever.
Yeah.
You don't want an OJ situation.
or the government, whatever you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say. Like
yeah,
they don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
someone
yeah.
like to where they
Yeah.
can just take that vehicle and run it through the airport.
Yeah.
Or on the
Yeah.
runway that you
Yeah.
can't stop, because that's what ultimately all the president's brigade and stuff. That's what all these are. They're vehicles that are and have been for ages. They're bulletproof. The tires are
Like deflate proof.
yeah, where they won't. Yep. So like this, it's definitely there. It's
Yeah.
just who do we allow to have it? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, but I don't understand why at least semi trailers.
Yeah, for safety.
Yes,
more than
exactly.
anything.
To where that couldn't be,
For
but
that,
I think,
because it's not like they're going to go on a high speed chase and like no one's
But-
taking that thing.
but
So-
maybe that's what the truckers have demanded a little bit and said, hey, instead of the two tires, so we got 4 on each side of the back of the trailer. So that's eight tires. So instead of doing that, can we do 4 solid ones?
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe it's a test, because we've seen them over the past few years.
Yeah, it's been
Where it's
slow.
where they,
Yep,
but
yep.
you see them a lot more now. And then the other thing we noticed, that you brought this up, on the back of the fuel trucks.
Yeah, the lights.
giant tankers.
Yeah, the lights.
Instead of being brake lights on the back of the part, there was like lights that went
It
all
almost
the
looked
way
like it looked like these LED lights,
Yeah.
but it
All
was
the
the
way around.
whole circumference of
Yeah.
the tank.
to where you see it.
And that's exactly it, because on a square trailer, they've got the lights at the top
Yeah.
and the lights at the bottom, so you can, in the dark, pick out, oh, that's a big rectangle,
Yeah.
that's a big square in
Yeah.
the sky. But the round ones, they never had that, and so this made it very apparent. That's a tanker,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's really cool that you know from a very far distance of what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I don't know about safety of like if that makes a difference or not, but I'm of the mind that it probably does, because then you're at least aware. Oh, they're probably going slower than me, or whatever, right?
Right.
I mean, unless you're that one guy who was doing 80, but other than that, they're probably going slower than you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, hey, yeah. So anyway, that was
Yeah.
just something interesting that kind of happened a little bit. That
Yep.
perspective, I guess, is.
Yeah, that's part of what
Yeah.
the fun
Yeah.
of like driving from place to place.
Yeah.
Like people say that all the time, like you're driving, and it's like I love to
Yeah.
drive places.
Yeah.
My body doesn't love it so much anymore. It wears me out a lot more, but there's so much that you see, from license plates to funny looking people to road signs to, again, technologies
Yeah.
and different vehicles.
Yeah, because
There's just so much that you get to see that you don't get to unless you're driving.
if some people said, wall drugs, or they said Crater Lake, or some of these you might
Out of the way places, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. But who all's been to the corn maze?
Right.
And the giant cow.
Air Crow roadside attractions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where it's just one of those different.
That's like a bygone era, I think, where we just fly so much more than drive. If it's more than a couple hours, people want to fly,
Yeah.
and it just you miss out. You just miss out on so much.
Especially all the like fruit stands and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You get in different
Yep.
areas and.
That's my only thing. Is like I love driving places, but we always have to drive someplace with a purpose. Like every time we're going, it's like we've got to be there by a certain time, or we have to be back by a certain time. And we really haven't taken, and we've taken umpteen million miles of road trips. We've cross-countryed 6, 7, 8 times now, east, west, and north, south. But it's always like we've got a deadline. We've never actually just driven to just go for the journey instead of the destination. We haven't done that yet. And that'd be kind of a fun. You start small, obviously, with that stuff, but why not stop at every stupid roadside attraction or every fun, big dinosaur or whatever. I'd like to do more of that. And again, you start small, maybe it's just in our state or the Great Lakes region, and then you branch out, but we need to do more of that because it always feels like, I want to stop, but it's just going to slow us down. We got to get there by a certain time. We do okay if there's certain things that we really want to see, but
it's just tough certain times because of when we're trying, what
we're getting done.
Time and doing festivals and stuff
Yep.
and different things. That's a different perspective of how you're having to, and then doing family stuff or graduations or all that. It's the whole nother, it's just each thing has its own entity that it is what, because, again, it's, what we've tried to do is basically incorporate
A vacation with a purpose.
to where it was some kind of way to make money at some point, or like to working vacations. I guess is what it was. Whether it's so maybe that'll be maybe a new thing we get to figure out here soon. I don't know. It's so hope everybody's doing okay with this heat. It's been pretty intense because I was keeping an eye on some of the weather and. It was hotter up here the past couple of days than where we were coming from.
Florida.
And so
Florida. It's crazy.
And it was fucking hot there. So but to where I said today.
I don't mind.
Well, I said today when because we had like 37 minutes maybe before we did the show. So we sit down as I was jotting down the notes Patty had given me and Stella. We were talking about a little bit of stuff, and that's when I was like.
Not so bad.
I don't know if it's because we've been in the humidity area, but it feels pretty good right now here, Mike. And so, and of course, Eric goes, "Yeah, it feels great.
It's beautiful.
It's wonderful." So that's that, and that's a cool thing that, So
I'm happy to be home. I know we normally go an hour, but I don't think we can because I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think we've done. We've done.
Mostly it's the announcements, whatever. But
and to give a little, for our fan base, to get a little bit, we don't want to
Guess what, guys? I have to pee.
Waste time. So.
But I did want to say I'm happy to be home. I'm not so happy to be just thrown back into a massive, crazy schedule. If there's one thing that I would love our listeners, our watchers, or whatever to take away from this, because right before we left, we had our community listening session. And that we left that on a high. And for those of you that tune in on YouTube, you didn't get to see us briefly talk about it on the Facebook one. But we had a community listening session the Thursday before we left, so 2 weeks ago, roughly. 2 weeks ago on Thursday. And it was uplifting and motivating and wonderful. And
I think 60-something people, showed up.
That's the fullest I've seen Passion Remington since we've been here practically.
All different walks.
All different walks of life. All different ages, and it was just us caring about our community, which is what we've been about on this show, on this radio station. That's been the core. It's like we care about where we live and how do we make it better. So to see the larger community do that, it just was so inspiring. Yes. So my point to that is I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to be a part of all of this again and get back into our routines. What I'm not looking forward to is feeling drained and get out of work to go do more work for the community that doesn't feel like the community is giving back. And so what I would like to challenge everybody with, and maybe we end on this note, is i.e. the food pantry, who is run by very minimal volunteers, just try to go outside of your comfort zone for a little bit and volunteer somewhere, or go shop at a local store, or go sit and chit chat with somebody at the library, or help your neighbor. Just try your best to be a little bit more involved outside of yourself, just for a little bit. And the more you do that, the more easy it is, and the less those of us who are really super involved have to do. It helps the load gets kind of distributed a little bit more. And it makes me less tired.
Well,
and you less tired. And the rest of us that are really, really, really trying, we don't have to do as much. And that's not a part that's talked about a lot. Because we don't want to sound like, oh, we do all this stuff and no one appreciates us. That's not it. It's just after doing it and doing it and doing it, you do get wore out. Doesn't mean you want to give up. But others can do more also. And I would love to see that. That's all.
Love it. That's well said. As Mr. Olson said.
That's right.
So
oldest
bravely.
constituent.
Yes, the oldest constituent.
People don't volunteer anymore.
Yep, he said.
That's what makes our community go.
People have to volunteer. They don't do it anymore. So I think that's what maybe we should just, I think you said that perfectly. And I think that's the perfect ending.
Yep.
So until next time, next Monday when we're full force, open
right.
jam, I'll come in hot after it.
That's right. We'll be goofy.
It'll
We'll be silly. We'll be like what we usually are.
If you need anything or you have any kind of suggestions or
if you know something going on that we don't necessarily know of,
Yeah,
reach out. We'll announce it.
yeah, because to be honest with you, if once you reach out to me, I'll reach out to you each week to find out because I know our list, our group that we need to touch on, and I try to
Yep.
make sure that.
They're all taken care of.
Because
Yep.
a couple of them were like, "You're going to do the show even when you're out of town." Like,
Yep.
yeah, because there's stuff happening in our town.
Yep.
So, okay, look forward to seeing everybody again. Get out there and do something good. Help out somebody and do something beyond
Yes.
yourself. And
Yes.
we'll see everybody around. Thanks for tuning in. And you know what's going to happen now. Just check this out.
This happens every time. Just close it out. No, we're not live. We don't want to be live. Look at this thing. I can't make it not go live. Like the thing is gone. There it goes. No, it says we're still live. You got to figure that out. I have to go to the bathroom. I don't know why it's not working tonight.